Hey everyone. So, you've probably heard these terms thrown around everywhere, right? AI, machine learning, LLMs, they're all over the news, they're changing everything. But what do they actually mean? What's the real story here? Well, that's what we're going to break down today.
So let's get right to it. AI, ML, LLMs. Are they all just the same thing? Are they different? It can feel kind of confusing, like a big bowl of alphabet soup. But I promise, there's a really simple way to think about it. And by the end of this, you'll see exactly how they all fit together. Okay, first things first. We have to start with the biggest idea, the one that kicked this whole thing off decades ago, the dream of smart machines. And that dream is called artificial intelligence, or AI. This is the big one. It's the whole field. The grand vision of making computers that can think, reason, and solve problems just like we can. It's basically the science fiction stuff we've all been dreaming about for generations. Now, to make all this super clear, we're going to use a simple little mission throughout this whole explainer. Let's say our one job is to build a machine that can look at any picture and tell us with certainty, yep, that's a cat. So, in our model, think of AI as the biggest circle you can draw. It's the entire playground where everything happens. Our little project, the cat identifier, that is a classic AI problem. It falls right inside this giant circle. So, if AI is the what we want to do, the next big question is how? How do you actually make a machine smart? And that brings us to the next layer of our puzzle. This slide right here, this is the aha moment. The old way of doing AI was, well, it was kind of clunky. You had to sit there and hand code every single rule. If it has fur, and it has whiskers, and it meows, then it's a chat. But what if the cat's fur is wet? What if you can't see the whiskers? It falls apart so fast. Then came machine learning, and it just completely flipped the script. We stopped giving the machine rules and started giving it data, tons and tons of data. We showed it a million pictures of cats and basically said, you figure it out. And that is the absolute core of it. Machine learning isn't some totally separate thing from AI. It's a way doing AI. It's how we achieve that big dream. It's all about letting the machine learn from examples instead of just following a long list of instructions. So if you're picturing our circles, AI is the giant playground, and machine learning is the coolest, most popular game being played inside it. It's our first circle, fitting snugly right inside the bigger world of AI. Okay, so we're showing our machine a million cat photos. But how is it actually learning from them? How does it start to see the patterns? Well, this is where it gets really cool, because we're about to dive into an even more powerful idea. And that idea is called deep learning. The inspiration for this came from the most amazing computer on the planet, our own brains. Deep learning tries to mimic how our neurons are all layered and connected, and how they work together to make sense of the world. So how does this actually work for our cat identifier? Well, imagine it like a factory assembly line. The first layer in this network just sees really simple stuff, like lines, curves, and edges. The next layer takes those simple shapes and starts putting them together, going, hey, that looks like an eye, or that looks like a pointy ear. Then the final layer takes all those features, puts them together, and makes the final call. That's a cat's face. It builds up its understanding, layer by layer. So, to put it simply, deep learning is like machine learning on steroids. It uses these really complex, multi-layered neural networks, which is just a fancy way of saying those brain-like layers. It's the technique you use when you have massive amounts of data, like a million cat photos, and you need to find some seriously complex patterns. And there we go, our picture is getting clearer. We now have another circle, even more specialized. Deep learning sits inside of machine learning, which, you guessed it, sits inside the big world of AI. See the pattern? We're drilling down to the core. So far, our whole mission has been about teaching a machine to see. But what happens if we take that same powerful, layered learning idea and point it at something else? Not images, but words. This brings us to the very center of our diagram, the final innermost circle. So let's just switch gears for a second. Forget the pictures of cats. What if we took that same deep learning setup, but instead of images, we fed it, language? Every book, every Wikipedia article, the entire internet? What happens then? Well, what happens is you get a large language model, an LLM. This is a direct result of deep learning, but it's a total specialist. Its whole job is to become a master of human language, to understand the grammar, the context, the jokes, the poetry, all of it. And this is where it gets kind of mind-blowing. An LLM doesn't just learn to recognize the word cat. It has read so much about cats that it starts to understand the idea of a cat. It gets the concept of fluffy, of sly, of cuddly. It understands it so deeply that it can actually create something new, like writing a poem about a cat that never existed.
And that's it. That's our final circle. LLMs are a specific, incredibly powerful product that comes out of deep learning. They are right there at the very heart of our model. All right, we have journeyed all the way from the big, hazy dream of AI down to the very specific, very powerful tools of today. Let's just put it all together one last time so it really sticks. This chart just lays it out perfectly. AI is the whole field, the big dream. Machine learning is a way to get there by learning from examples. Deep learning is a super powerful type of machine learning that uses those brain-like layers. And an LLM is a specific thing you can build with deep learning, a thing that has mastered language. Each one is a level deeper. So why does this matter? Because it shows an evolution. We went from trying to cram rules into a machine to letting the machine learn for itself, and now we're at a point where these machines can master the one thing we thought was uniquely human, language. And that leaves us with a pretty wild thought. We started out just trying to get a computer to recognize a cat in a photo,